That is fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sorry, the guys were just saying. That's really great. I'll head up there now. Thank you so much. Sorry, I just got an update on the radio that there was leopard calling while we were busy moving around just a little bit farther north from us. So I think what we're going to do, because we have checked our area pretty well, I know I haven't checked the outflow as of yet, but I think we're going to turn around. We're going to head up a little bit more north. We're going to see maybe if we can catch this leopard. The last leopard that we saw on my vehicle was Mvula. He went up into that area and then has maybe hopefully started to come down. So I'm going to do that. Our pied crow has gone off and possibly looking for a meal. So we're going to head back up to Taylor with some fuzzy, furry felines of her own. And hopefully by the time you come back to me, I will have some feline news for you from Djuma.
We've got lions. They've been very sleepy. It was actually quite funny. Jar and I were yakking away, talking about all sorts of wonderful things, and we drove straight past them. And then I just caught them out the corner of my eye and went, oh, lions! But they were laying particularly flat in the grass, as you can see. We were actually parked up a little bit on the embankment so we could see above the grass. Now, they're two young boys, and the one that's sitting, or that's sort of moving around now, hopefully he'll sit up and look at us, because he's got a bit of a cut on his eye. So I think there's been an argument somewhere. I don't know what pride these belong to. It doesn't look like the Chelly boys because I can't see a collar on either of them. But again, they're laying so flat that it is possible that the one closest to us has got a collar. Youngsters, though. Hello, thank you. Now you can see the big cut on his eye. But he's fine, though. It looks quite fresh. It'll just be a little superficial wound. It won't really bother them too much. They're just going to go in the lugger. Yeah, please go and do that. Oh, lions. Yep. Oh no, he's using the luxury facilities first. But they look to be about maybe 3 years old, somewhere around there. And that seems to be the common age of lions that we're seeing a lot of at the moment. We're only seeing a handful that are sort of reaching their prime, getting to about 5, 6 years old, and you couple them around. And then we're seeing a large amount of boys that are between the ages of 2.5 and about 3.5 years old, all over the triangle. I think I can't tell you how many young males I've seen. Maybe they're also the same males. That could be a possibility because they will be moving around quite a bit. They don't have a fixed home, so that could also be the case as to what's going on here. Let's see what happens now that he's decided to get up and relieve himself. Maybe we might have some action for a little bit. But we're close to the Ngioriare turnoff, so these two boys could also come from that bigger sausage tree pride. Now, Lisa, you're wondering if lions also hunt even when they're not hungry? They can, and I think they do hunt for a bit of fun when the wildebeest are around. They'll just catch as many as they can. Oh, let's get him while he's up. Where are you going to go, boy? You're going to go and join a balloon breakfast. I'm wondering if they're two different ages. Maybe a little bit older. Because this fella on the left has got a much larger mane than the other one. Again, it could be genetics, so some people have thicker hair than others, like my hair is particularly thick. I think I've got about 7 people's worth of hair on my head. So that could be it. Maybe they're not even related. Maybe they've just joined up. But they've definitely been fighting. Scratches on the face, scratches on the leg. They've definitely been on the wars. I'm not sure if this fella's got any scars on him. I can't see his face just yet. But at least the other boy has decided to sort of sit out and lay out in the open so we can see him for a little bit. They don't look like they're going to get up to too much. I think these are going to lounge around, but it might be exciting for maybe this afternoon to try come back here and see if we can follow them, if they're still around, of course. But there he sits. Lovely young boys, though, strong. They've got relatively full bellies. Maybe they caught something and then other lions came in and chased them off it. Some bigger boys, which there are plenty of. But I'm not sure who they are. No, I think maybe they're a little bit older, just looking at this other one. Maybe 3.5. Not quite 4. I don't think they're there just yet. They're still growing. But nice to see. Very, very nice to see. I'm scanning around, just making sure, see if there's any more Pride members around. Don't think so, though. You know, those two young boys that were seen with the bigger sausage tree pride, or whatever their name is, they were getting to the point where they were going to have to get kicked out too. Tree, I think that's what I heard. Sorry, it didn't come through very clearly. Wondering, when do lions show a big majestic mane? Sometimes male lions don't get a big majestic mane. Again, it gets down to genetics. Some have blonde manes, some have darker manes than others. And in the case of a male lion, when they first sort of start really developing quite a bit of mane on their chest, around their shoulders, you know, it all starts to join up again because it starts out very patchy. About 5 or so, and then they really have the most beautiful mane between about 7 and 8. I think that they've got a very, very full mane then. That's sort of as big as it's going to get. But now for these boys, they're quite scraggly at the moment. They get that very mohawk sort of style. Normally when you start to see the darkening of hair on the elbows, they say that they're around 6 years old. But again, it can't be a set rule because it's all got to do with genetics in the end. And every lion will be slightly different. Some might mature a little bit quicker than others. Some might mature a little bit later. Some might not get a big mane. Some might have big manes like Scar. I mean, to have a big mane like Scar does, it's not particularly common. I mean, he's got an incredible headrest of hair. Boys, you're just going to be fast asleep for the rest of the day. This is going to be very exciting. They're laying right on the road too. Now, love my Charlie, you're wondering if young lions like these would let out roars. Of course, they most certainly would. However, you might find that they wouldn't be particularly vocal at this age. Reason being is because they then draw attention to themselves. And by drawing attention to yourself, yeah, he's also got cuts on him. Look, they have been scrapping. They've been fighting quite a bit. I don't think it's between them. I think they've been maybe being forced out of pride or something along those lines. So they will roar. However, you don't often hear young male lions roaring all the time, and this is a big group of them, and they can, you know, hold themselves down if some other bigger boys come in and try to give them a bit of trouble. But other than that, they're going to stay pretty quiet and just move around and lay low. And this is a very hard time of their life. They are going to get beaten up if they get caught by other big male lions. You know, if they have other members wanting to join their little coalition that they have, that's also a possibility. But for now, they've been given a hiding by somebody. And I'm not sure who, but definitely not the Chelly boys. The Chelly boy is one of the males has got a collar on him. These ones? I don't know where they've come from. I'm sure we've seen them before. Remember we had a sighting of 2 males actually just off Ngoriari Road in a quarry sort of area. It was the same afternoon that we saw that beautiful big leopard, the shepherd tree male. So it's not... I'm just thinking, maybe you can pull up some screenshots, although they were fairly flat too. They weren't really showing their faces up. Oh, sorry about that. Seems there's a couple of gremlins there and just attacking me. Very naughty of them. We are verging on a bad... Oh, no, we're not. I can still see Angama and all these nice little spots. We should be okay here. We should be okay. You can see as the car starts, just literally twitching in here, and the vehicles are driving right past them because, like I said, we're right on the road. I think we're going to leave these boys and maybe go exploring and see what else we can find. I suspect they're just going to lay about here, maybe move to some shade a bit later. Let's go to Scott and his beautiful lions.
Well, it looks like the situation has changed here while we were away. Scar is now up again and feeding on the remains, and it looks like the rest of the pride also managed to get some scraps that they were waiting patiently for. You could see that lioness growled at another one that was probably getting a little bit too close to it. And they really don't have much left to nibble on after the 4 musketeer males consumed the majority of the zebra. It looks like she's got the skull. She's trying to clean off. Wonderful. Hi Jeanette, you'd like to know if it's a surprise that Scar is in this area because you are new to the Safari Live experience. And no, this is a normal spot that we see him in. We have such a huge area that we traverse, Jeanette, that we, unlike on Djuma, where they've got a very, very small piece of land relative to what we have here, we will sometimes not frequent an area for quite some time, and even if we do, we may not find the animals that live there. This guy, for example, lives on both sides of the river, and yeah, I mean, it's just a very, very large ecosystem that makes it difficult to spend time with set animals for prolonged periods. But he is well within his territory here, and I think it's an area that it's a small area that we actually see him on this side of the river. I'm not sure how big his territory spans on the eastern side of the river, but he doesn't seem to move huge distances here. We only generally see him in and around a kind of 1 or 2 square mile area. I'm guessing that they caught the zebra in the early hours of the morning. Oh, let's try and get this ground hornbill quickly. It's gonna... Awesome, Manu. Well done. Great. We don't see many hornbills here in the Mara. And especially not the crowned hornbill. So I'm glad you got a glimpse of that. So yeah, I think they would have made the kill probably maybe 3 or 4 in the morning, and the males would have wolfed most of it down. As by the time we got you, there certainly wasn't much left. 2 of the other males of this coalition had already actually left the scene. They're probably about a mile away now. Hello, Killian. You'd like to know how heavy are these lions? Well, I can only guess roughly that the females will be about 100 to 120 kilograms and the males around 200 kilograms. As a very rough guess, unless, of course, you were to weigh the animal, it may be quite tricky to guesstimate their weights. And just like us as humans, there will be quite large differences between different individuals in different areas. As Scar chews, you'll possibly notice that his teeth are quite blunt and worn down. He's an old boy, and I can't help but wonder how much longer he's going to be around for. Not that it's imminent that he's going to be ousted or his coalition is going to be ousted from the area, but I think he is probably the most frail out of the 4 from the brief time I've spent with them. Okay, well, as these lions continue to chew on the remains of a zebra, you are going to go and join Noel with one that's fully intact.
From a dead zebra to a live zebra, indeed, everything needs to eat, and so does those lions, unfortunately, up there. But our zebra are alive. We are in the area where the guys called in the leopard audio. But as we were busy waiting to find tracks and or hear and or see this leopard, we found these beautiful zebra. So definitely stopping for zebra. Zebra is not something that we see all the time here. Especially with the thicker bush areas, they tend to be able to conceal themselves, and the numbers are not as high as you would get in the migration areas, like up in, excuse me, up where Scott and Taylor are. So this is a plains zebra. There's 3 species of zebra throughout the continent: plains zebra, mountain zebra, and gravy zebra. Gravy zebra occurs in northern Kenya, up Samburu side, and mountain zebra is on the western side of South Africa. Now, the zebra you would have seen was Scott, busy being eaten, would have been a Burchell zebra, which is a cousin of this one, a subspecies of this one. So we've been talking slowly, little bit about changes over time with guiding. We talked about it with the drafts, with the information you need to know. So when I started guiding, this zebra and the zebra up in East Africa, where the migration happens, were all Burchell zebra. And then what they decided, or found out rather, I should say, through DNA, is that this zebra, the plains zebra, has very similar DNA to the extinct quagga. I don't have a picture of a quagga. Maybe you guys can Google it. It's Quagga. So therefore, this one changed its whole scientific name and became a dominant, just one of the 3 species. And then the Burchell zebra is now only in East Africa, a subspecies of this one. It sounds a little bit convoluted, a little bit confusing, but this is something that we do keep on top of so that we can give you correct information, and it is important to know. But the interesting question that I have around all this DNA sampling that we're doing is a lot of the taxonomic breakdowns that we do originally were phenotypic, so physical structure, and now we're throwing DNA in the mix. So is it the same taxonomy, just out of thought? It's something that you can think about. If you have any comments or any questions, you're more than welcome to send them my way. But then now back to our very beautiful looking zebbies. These are looking like a couple of males, very stout, very robust, very healthy looking. Manes are sticking straight up. They always look fat. They digest their hindgut fermenters, so they're filled with gas. When they run away, you can just hear. And then also no mange. They're just, zebras are a very hardy, very sturdy animal. We've got this other male is going to be moving across to him. Oh, hi. You are wondering if it is a zebra or zebra. It's the same as tomato or potato or potato. Just depends on where you live and what you feel like saying. So for me, I say zebra. I live in South Africa, but if I was living in the States, I might say zebra. Also, in our alphabet, you say Z at the end instead of Z, so that has part to do with it as well. But it's the same. Same, but different, as we say here. Same, but different. Good question. That's a beautiful shot there. There we go. If the light was a little bit better, I would definitely be clicking away on my camera. Maybe you guys can do a screenshot that happened just there. Gorgeous zebra. Now, the 2 males that we have here, there's a third one, but he moved off. This will be a little bachelor group. We had some zebras on air. When was it? About 2 nights ago, 2 nights ago. And we had a harem, so it's 1 male and several females. This will be the males that are busy looking for those harems to try and steal the females away from them. I'm going to try and creep forward just so we can get both in the shot. Here we go. This is me creeping. Shh. James, you're questioning whether zebras are usually in small or large herds. James, everything is relative and everything has to do with the resources that are available. So if there's abundance of resources, you're going to see very large harems and larger bachelor herds. If resources are small, you are going to see smaller harems and smaller bachelor herds. Now, in East Africa, with the migration like we've been talking about, those large groups of zebra, those aren't one large herd. Those are small little harems and bachelor herds that are sort of pushed together into a larger grouping as they move around because they're forced to because of the way that the rains work and the way that the food resources work. Here, our zebra are not territorial like our wildebeest are territorial, but our zebra do definitely have... Oh, well, that's rather rude. Really? That's what you're going to do on live TV. Okay, well, our zebra don't have territories, but they have definite home ranges that they move in, and they do have particular areas that they prefer over others, and then they'll share those areas a little bit if it's more dry, and then when it's more wet, they spread out. Now, with a harem, they say anywhere from 2 to 9 in a harem. They say the sort of average is about 7, and that's one of the reasons why the 7 sisters, the Pleiades, is called the 7 zebra in the southern hemisphere. The Son Bushman called it that, the constellation, because the harems have a tendency to be in herds of 7, but yeah, I can't confirm that from any of my experience. Oh, Senzo, that is a beautiful shot. I've seen them in all different sizes. That's how I feel, buddy. Oh, Paula, that's a really good question. Paula is wondering if the different species of zebra look different. Now, Paula, I have my Southern African mammal book for photos just to show you guys with me. I do not have shots of gravy zebra. So what I can show you is the difference with the mountain zebra. If we come over here, thank you, Senzo. Focusing on this one. Paula, can you see that the stripes stop before the belly? And then can you see here, there's something called a dewlap. So that, and they're also a little bit smaller, so that's the difference. The gravy zebra, I don't know if someone wants to maybe Google quickly for me. I can't find my book that has the mammals of Africa. I have shoved it somewhere. But the gravy zebra has very, very thin stripes, a lot closer together. They don't have the shadow stripe like our plain zebra here. Notice that the mountain zebra also don't have the shadow stripe. And then that zebra that you saw being eaten by the lions with Scott, that Burchell zebra, also won't have the shadow stripe, but will look more like the zebra that we have over here, our plain zebra. The gravy zebra also have a different social structure and tend to be more singular rather than in grouping. I actually need to do a little bit more of a reread on gravies, and gravies is one of the species that I have not seen. So we were talking a few shows ago about things that I hadn't seen in the Sabi sands, and most of the species I've seen here. I've been very lucky, but there are species that occur closer to where Taylor and Scott are that I would love to see. So there's a Gerenuk, which looks like an impala with a super long neck. I want to see that, and a gravy zebra. I desperately want to see a gravy zebra. It's on the list. One day it'll happen. These zebras are being very nice to us and standing still. Okay, so now that we've seen an alive zebra, and there are live zebras in the world, we're going to go back to Scott with his dead zebra who's feeding our lions. Circle of life. Must enjoy. Oh, lions on a kill is amazing.
Hello everyone. Sorry, are we live? How come I didn't share anything? Oh, there we go. That's better. I'm not sure if you guys were with us for that little scrap between the lioness and the young male, but she just gave him a serious go. The female that's standing up now, shame that poor young boy has probably had nothing to feed on, or very, very little, as there is a pecking order, and the biggest and strongest ordinarily go first, which means the males, then the adult females, and then the cubs afterwards. So Scar's still not quite finished, even though he has got an incredibly full belly. He's making the most of this tasty zebra. And let's see what happens here as this other lioness moves around a bit. Because we could expect to see that the other lioness may well lash out at this individual as she tries to steal any tidbits from her. Hello, proud cat mama. You'd like to know how much meat can a male lion eat in one sitting? I would say comfortably about 20 to 30 kilograms of meat. But I'm not too sure exactly how it's a difficult thing to work out because, if you take this kill, for example, they've fed themselves to a point that they are full, yet he's continuing to feed now, but there's not much food left. Now, if this was a buffalo or a giraffe, would they purposefully eat more slowly, knowing that there's lots of food to go around? So I think it varies depending on how full they were when the kill was made, and also how much meat there is to go around. Oh, that's great. Always tricky when there's so much going on, so many animals to film. I was busy watching Scar there, not the monitor, which was naughty of me. And he just shook the whole zebra carcass. So that's what I was referring to. Look at that mane of his. Absolutely incredible. Hello, Kobe. You'd like to know how big is Scar's territory? And I'm not too sure exactly. This is the only area where I've really seen him on. I have seen him on the other side of the river, but I'm guessing it's probably around 5 or 6 square miles. There's quite a high density of big male lions in this area, and I think their territories are not huge as far as male lion territories go. But I don't know the exact size of it, sadly. There's another predator lingering on the outskirts here. Waiting patiently. I don't know if you're going to get too much to chew on, although your bone-crunching jaws will possibly allow you to get to certain parts of the meal that these lions cannot feed on. And it's just waiting at a safe distance off. And I'm sure it will get 1 or 2 little scraps. Hyenas are very good at being patient. Shame this is the young male who's had not much to feed on. It's one of the catches of being in a pride. When the big males are in town, you can make a killing and get absolutely none of it. So I guess that's one of the catches of having the safety and security of big males to look after you as and when needed. But they'll also eat up all your food when there's not much around. Very good. Well, James has covered some territory on his foot patrol this morning, so tighten your laces and off you go.
I have covered quite a lot of territory, unfortunately. Well, no, very fortunately, not only I, but of course Chandra and Rexon as well. I now am taking a load off. I'm sitting down here on this well-elevated part of the bank at Buffelshoek Dam, and just seeing what we can see. Now, the leopard that Noel was following up on, Rexon heard, and he thought a male leopard coming down towards Buffelshoek Dam. So that's why I'm sitting here, not looking particularly frantic about life. We did have some alarm calling of birds and squirrels up to the northern side of the dam. It's not the north at all. It's the eastern side of the dam. And we went wandering along there, and then squirrels started calling to the south, and further birds started calling to the east, and so we followed up and we didn't come up with anything. So Rex thinks maybe there was a leopard around here and that it heard the male coming down towards this area. Now, if it is a male coming down towards this area, it will of course most likely be old Mvula. So it'd be nice to see him again today. Rex is just having a ponder. In fact, let's have a look at him there. He's just looking at the tracks to see what's going on around the sides. There he is. He has no idea, of course, that he's now on television. Now, Jean-Ray also managed to find this rather spectacular moth, whose name I learnt last year and have naturally subsequently forgotten. But the colours are just spectacular. Silver, gold, copper, and pink. Silver, gold, copper, and pink with a little bit of orange, I suppose you might call it, and of course some white. Isn't that astounding? All the colours of the precious metals. Don't you think that's amazing, Jean-Ray? That's why you gave it to me. Thank you very much indeed. Good. So that's the story here. Unfortunately, I can't find any sign of the leopard. Then somebody called Collie, is it Collie? Polly. Holly with an H. Not Polly with a P or Collie with a C. But Holly with an H. It says, don't get snapped up by a crocodile. Yes, well, I wouldn't swim across here. We have seen crocodiles in here from time to time. But I haven't seen one for a very long time. And interestingly, there doesn't seem to be a hippopotamus here, which certainly wasn't the case when I left 5 months ago. Amazing how things change in 5 months, isn't it, Jean-Ray? Yes, indeed. Good. Well, we have failed to find a leopard in the most leopard-hot territory in the world, I suppose, which makes me a little bit sad, and it makes me even sadder to announce that those in the less-than-hot leopard territory have managed to find one of those cats.
Look at what we've got, James. I'm sure your leopard luck will change. You are in the Sabi sand, of course, the heart of leopard country in South Africa, so I have no doubt that if you don't get one this morning, you'll probably get one in the afternoon. We are sitting with a leopard. It seems to be a boy. It's a male leopard, and we're not far off from where we had that shepherd tree male a couple of weeks ago, and I think it could be him. But of course, at the moment, it's very difficult to try and identify because he's laying in the long grass, and we haven't really got the best spot. But either he's going to be kind enough to get up and walk right towards us, because we know he's not afraid of doing that, or we'll try and take one of the spots of another car when they come around. Now, how I'm going to identify him, I don't actually know what his spot pattern is, but his nose is relatively pink and has a couple of scratches sort of on it, and then just to the left of his nose is a tiny little spot. I'm just looking at my old photos, the photos that I took of him when that particular male was a lot more obliging. So hopefully when he lifts his head up, and I have a picture to show you if you want to have a look so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to try and hold the zoom in. So if you look on his nose, you can actually see that tiny little spot that I'm talking about, just to the right of his nose. I think we could use that. But I think that it is him. I have a feeling that it is him. So there we go. I can't really see what his spot pattern is at the moment. And I'm just trying to see if there's any other obvious markings. Not that I can see. No particular shapes. Scanning up a little bit higher, but we'll get him. He's a beautiful boy. Anyways, and now he's gone completely flat. How exciting. It's always tough out here because the grass is so long. And, at least in the Sabi sand at the moment, there's barely any grass around at all. So the ground you can actually see it. You can see all sand, bits of yellow pieces of grass here and there, but it makes it for spotting animals a lot easier than what it is in this area. And it's particularly overcast at the moment, so there's no pressure for him to move to a bit of shade. And Michael, you're wondering if leopards always live alone? Pretty much, most of the time, unless you see a female with youngsters, then you can see a big group of leopards. And then if you have amazing sightings every now and then, like when we had that encounter, well, Tristan had that encounter with Tandi, Shongile, Hosanna, Tamba, and we also suspect that Tingana in the sighting too, so 5 leopards in one spot. I suppose a few of them related, but they shouldn't have all been together. Very exciting stuff. Anyways, we're going to sit and wait for our leopard to wake up. It seems as though Scar has done exactly that.
Well, Scar has abandoned the kill and the others have rushed in to take the scraps. Isn't this awesome? He's letting them be. He's had enough. And it'll be interesting to see when these 3 that are on the kill start actually squabbling over it, because they could at any moment. They haven't had nearly as much to feed on as the big males, and now are trying to cash in. Good, well, I'm glad they're at least getting a few scraps. Well done to Taylor for finding a leopard. She's having a great morning out here. Narina Trogan, leopard. And it sounds like all in all it's been a enjoyable safari for all of you guys, that's for certain. Shame they really don't have much to work with there. But they'll work their way through a few scraps. Hello, Rihanna. You would like to know what is the most common animal that lions hunt? Well, it all depends on the area that the lions are in. Different areas will have different amounts of game for them to feed on, and so therefore their menu will vary from place to place. Here in the Mara, I think zebra and wildebeest are probably going to be the most consumed prey item. But then again, there'll be seasonal fluctuations during the migratory months. It'll be almost all wildebeest and zebra, mainly wildebeest because there are more of them. And now, outside of the migration months, you might find them starting to feed on other prey, buffalo, giraffe, hippo. So there's very few prides that will focus on one specific prey item, and I guess any of those prides will be in quite unique scenarios where one prey item is more abundant than the others. Are there any cars behind us, Mana? I'm just going to try and reposition us to get some good views of Scar before he puts his head down. There's quite a few large tufts of grass which are making it a bit tricky to get the right angle, but we might be able to get a good spot. Let's see how this works. Yeah. No, that doesn't work, but at least we've got a bit of view of the other ones feeding. Hello, Saraya. You'd like to know if the big cats get hairballs or fur balls? Yes, they certainly do. And from time to time we see them coughing them out. There's a combination of, some of the hairballs do get coughed back out, but a lot of the hair does go through the digestive system and you see it in their poop. Actually haven't seen a predator cough out a furball for quite some time. Maybe we'll get lucky this morning, although it's usually not the prettiest of scenes, as you can imagine. So it looks like those two could well be brothers and sisters, those two that are squabbling over that bone there. So it's 2 sub-adults and 2 lioness. Here's an interesting scene. We've got another imposter looking for scraps, and it's incredible how brave they can be. If you just pan to the right a little bit, Manu. There's a little jackal. There we go. You can just see its ears, the closer one. Oh, it found something. Well done. Your bravery has rewarded you with a snack. Let me see if I can reverse again a little bit. That might get us some better views of Scar, as well as the others, as they continue to do their business. Looks like he's taking some time to clean himself after the feast. Good idea. Keep yourself looking in tip-top condition. Hello, Subar. You would like to know how long on average will a male lion reign dominance? And on average, it's kind of around 4 years. From anywhere from 5 years of age, roughly, an individual or a coalition of males may become dominant, and then usually it lasts until they're around 9 or 10. Sometimes shorter, though, of course. I mean, there's so many variables, and some males could come in, a coalition of 2 big, strong males could come in, reign dominant for 2 years, and then a bigger coalition of 5 could come in and oust them. So there are so many variables with questions like that. Oh, good. Well, I'm told Taylor's leopard wasn't being very proactive, but now it is.
If you call twisting its head and flicking his ears proactive, well then yes, Scott, that's exactly what he's doing. Here's another chance to see who he is. He keeps peering over the long grass. There were a couple of hyena floating about a little while ago, so maybe he's just keeping an eye on them. Okay, now, Mr. Leopard, please turn your head this way. He looks like an older boy, and I'd said to you that if it is the shepherd tree male, I'd suspected that he was about 7 years old, give or take. I think it is him, because I can see a tiny little spot just to the left of his nose. And he is a lovely cat. It's perfect condition to go out hunting. I don't know if he's had a meal recently or what his sort of status is, if he carries on laying in the... Oh, fantastic. Fuzzman Sparkles, thank you very much for all of your help lately. You have said and you agree with me that it is the shepherd tree male. Woohoo! There we go. Confirmed identification. So my second sighting of him. And he's a little bit further away from where we last spotted him. But it's quite nice to try and work out now where his favorite spots are. And hopefully, you know, we've now realized that he comes a little bit further to the east as well. When we go looking for him again, we know some new areas that we need to check, that he doesn't necessarily just hang down on that beautiful lugger, and then also that little rocky outcrop section. So that's quite cool. But the leopards up in this area have got massive territories in comparison to those down in the Sabi sand. And the Sabi sand is densely packed with leopards. The boys obviously have massive areas that they'll cover. I mean, we just look at the distance that Tingana travels every single day, as well as Mashbeni down in the south. They're incredible boys. They walk and walk and walk, and they don't let anything sort of stop them. They're machines. And this boy will do exactly the same thing, except he's probably going to travel, if not double, maybe 3 times the distance that the boys down in the Sabi sand will have to, which is pretty cool. And I think a little bit dangerous as well, the amount of lions that are around here. And some huge open areas. He has to be very, very careful. In the Sabi sand, it's easy. If you get chased by a lion when you're a leopard, you just race up one of the 5 million marula trees or leadwoods, or, you know, the list is endless of trees that they can climb up. Whereas here, there definitely are trees, but you can see from where we are now, I'm actually going to count the trees that are around us. 1, 2, 3, There are 3 trees around us at the moment, and that's it. It'd be good for a leopard, though, because he can go straight up them, and I doubt a lion would be able to make it all the way up some of these Balanites trees. Obviously, they're okay at going up, but they need some of those horizontal branches to help them. Here we go. Hello, boy. I'm kind of sad, though, that the sun is not out, because then I think we would have seen him get up and move around. You know, like I said, even if it was just to a spot of shade, that would be fine. But maybe he's seen something that I haven't seen. Maybe there's a little oribi or a reedbuck in the grass. That could definitely be the case. They could be around here. Or he's just watching the hyenas. I haven't quite decided. There could be a hyena den, because as we were coming in, we just saw little spotted creatures moving around. There's quite a few sub-adult hyenas, so maybe there is a den around here. But I'd also just be cautious and watch my back. I think they're a little bit more on edge, especially when you're out in the open like this. And we're not far away from where we had those male lions either. Those boys that were also quite flat. It seems to be the trend today with the cats, except for Scott. Scott's having a lot of luck with action, which is really nice. And I'm so excited that he's had so many scar sightings in a row. Now, Ramit, you're wondering how different are the hunting techniques between the species, or not, between the leopards in the Mara and then the Sabi sand? Well, one thing that you can clearly see is that there's a whole lot more grass out here. And particularly in this area, I think the hunting techniques of the leopard, even in the triangle versus the Masai Mara, where the grass is very short, will even vary. And so it depends on the type of habitat. We're talking about lots of trees being in the Sabi sand. There's also lots of small shrubs, which they will utilize. They will utilize drainage lines. They often hunt along the river lines too. The sand is nice and soft, so they can be quite quiet. And there's densely populated game along, especially in the winter months, in the Sabi sand. So from Nyala to Bushbuck to Kudu to Deka to Steenbok, they're all going to be hanging around within those areas, and it makes it quite easy for leopards to just slink in the sand and then use all the shrubs. Here, I reckon this leopard's obviously going to be utilizing the grass. He's going to be staying nice and low, almost hunting like a lion would, but a leopard will do exactly the same thing. Just move swiftly through the grass, get as close as you can. In the short stuff, I think it's tough for them. And you see those leopards across the river hanging right up against the edges of the lugger, where they have got some form of protection, because there's no way that they can hunt out in the open. They'll just be spotted completely. So it's much of a muchness. I mean, the leopards will use various techniques wherever they go. Again, it depends what type of vegetation is around, what they've got to deal with. I mean, I've even heard of, we were talking about this the other day, I think it was in Botswana, somewhere on an island, where the leopards actually sit up in trees and bomb down on impala that are coming to graze in the shade below them, or whatever antelope species, which is unbelievable. And I'm pretty sure if there's an opportunity for a leopard to do something like that in the Sabi sand, they will do exactly the same thing too. Now, you might hear quite a few vehicles moving around now. Everybody's trying to shuffle. I'm hoping that we're going to have an opportunity to be able to reposition, to seem as though we've been sitting here so patiently, and I feel as though we deserve it. These guys that have just arrived in the sighting, I think they need to wait their turn and take the unfavorable spots. But let's see. I don't want to have too many cars moving around. We know in the Sabi sand, obviously our guiding techniques are very different. We're very, very strict in the Sabi sand. We have one car moving around the animals, especially when you're within such close proximity, which is good. And I remember I've told you many, many different times about the test that we did when I was at Sabi, when we laid down on the ground and we had 4 or 5 cars moving around us at once, and how disorientating it actually was. So after first-hand experiencing the sounds, and we closed our eyes as well, it was not a very nice experience. So it is very important that we continue practicing our guiding methods up here in the Mara too. But he is not bothered though. He's completely relaxed around the cars. Anyways, Noelle's searching for leopards down in South Africa, and like I was saying, her and James are in the best possible spot to find them. She heard them earlier. Let's go and see if she's any closer.
Hi everyone, so here's what's happening. James is on foot tracking this leopard. We're busy driving around like this. This male leopard is moving quickly. So sometimes when you get tracks when you're on foot, you can very easily pick up what you're following. And sometimes the way, especially, sorry, I've got squirrels alarm calling. just behind us. Sometimes what ends up happening is that they move quickly enough that it does help if there's a vehicle in the area. So we're basically looking for the same leopard. I still have a feeling it's in Vula. Those squirrels are going absolutely nutty. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to turn around. So I haven't seen these tracks. I haven't heard this leopard, but James and them have. So I'm getting directions from them about where they need me to go to help find this leopard, because it would be nice for at least one of us to see, although everybody's been having great sightings with Scott and Taylor up in the Mara, so that's really great. Now what's happening here, we've got this beautiful drainage system. Sorry, stand by one. This beautiful drainage system just on the side here. I thought maybe he'd be walking in the drainage system, but if those squirrels are being accurate, he's actually walking on the eastern side. So I'm going to turn around and very slowly come down. I know it must be hard for you guys to hear. They are a little bit farther off. You can hear it slightly. Okay, that's good. Now it's interesting, I was just up in Zambia in South Luangwa National Park, and the squirrels there definitely tell you when there's leopards here. However, squirrels here are tricky. It is not always a leopard. It is sometimes something else. Okay, so we're going to link back to James, who's on foot in the same area, and see what he has for us.
We are in the same area, but we haven't found a leopard. We have found some colour, though, in the form of lucky beans. There they are. Highly toxic. Don't eat them. You'll go mad. And then die. Yes. Now, Jean-Marie, if I can persuade you to come around here, that would be wonderful. Could I do that? Because there is a fly perched beautifully on the edge of this... The camera's freaking out. What is it doing? Oh, the focus is gone. We might have to reboot. Sorry about that. Can we link away? You can come back to us now. So we're now going to go across to the Mara in the next 10 seconds or so for a small calf of an animal that is, well, very bouncy, very sweet, and you don't see them here.
Well, we've got a sad scene here. This poor baby topi has lost its mother and the rest of the herd. We've just stumbled upon it, and there is not a topi in sight. Shame. You could see it did a little call there. Its body just moved a bit, and that was it trying to call desperately for its mom. Who knows how they got separated? Maybe a river crossing. But the future is bleak for this individual, and I just feel so sorry for them. That period of being alone, just terrified, must be quite something. But I'm guessing a predator will come across it, be it a jackal, hyena, leopard or lion, sooner or later, and put it out of its misery, because it is not going to be able to survive without its mother. It still will be heavily reliant on her milk. So essentially, the sooner a predator comes across it, the better. Unless, of course, there's a magic story of it reuniting with its mother. I just can't see any topi in any direction around us. So I fear that the chances of it reuniting with its mother are slim. Shame. Paula, yeah, you were asking what are the chances that they would reunite. I think very slim, as I said. It's, once they've split up, this individual's mother and its herd are going to continue with their movements and their missions. And, there is a chance. I just don't think it's going to be very high. Okay, well, we're going to leave this poor little topi and hope that it does manage to miraculously reunite with its mom. And we're going to send you off to James, who has a fly.
Yes, I do have a fly. There it is, cleaning its front legs. And it's sitting on the edge of a Judy H. Are you listening? Hibiscus macrantha, thank you very much. And I think it's a little robber fly of some sort. It's predatory, I think, given... Oh, it's gone. It's got those little baskets on the front of its legs. Well, its legs form a little basket, which I think it uses to hunt things. Anyway, here's the Hibiscus macrantha, and there, that little purple flower there, Jondry, will be open out into something very beautiful, hopefully sometime soon. Got it?
Yes.
Good. There we are. Anna-Marie, you want to know what my personal favourite flower is, Anna-Marie? It is the... Anna-Marie, it is the gardenia, the Transvaal gardenia. It smells so very beautiful. I can't get it out, Chandri.
Shall I kiss it?
Oh, it's out. You know, the sacrifices we make, Chandra, to... Oh, there is a black-bellied bustard. Do you see it? Well done. They're the most unwieldy looking flyers, but I've seen them escaping from African hawk eagles quite frequently, being bombed, and you see them kind of flying into the air like a drunken thing, and then they fly off and they achieve amazing speeds, and I've, like I say, often seen them get away from diving hawk eagles, despite their ungainly way of flying. Now, Rexon's gone down here. Noelle's in the bushes around here somewhere looking for this leopard. We did find some tracks that Rex said were fresh from now, so we might be lucky before the end of the drive. But he also thought that this leopard was probably Djuma, and we're probably not going to see it on foot. Madeline, I'm afraid I missed your question. Oh, the most fragrant flower must be the gardenia as well, Madeline. Just about all of the uncolourful or white flowers smell very nice. The gardenia is very strong, very nice sweet smell. The carissa or num-num flowers are also very nice smelling. But the subtle smell of the combretum bushes is amazing because it fills the whole area here with the smell of the coming summer. And that's just really delightful. What else smells really good? Other than... all of the white flowers smell pretty good. Though the knobthorn flowers, which are now long finished, of course they've been finished for at least a month now, they smell very nice. They're the first kind of hint of the spring coming. What else? There's something I'm missing. The Capparis, Capparis tomentosa, or the woolly caper bush, got very nice smelling flowers. They're much more subtle though, you really got to get in there to have a smell of them. So I guess the gardenia would be the most fragrant, but they only last for a few days at a time before they disappear for another year. Now Taylor McCurdy has left her leopard for some reason. I don't know why she would have done that. Maybe she will find another one. Who knows? She will tell you in just about now.
Well, we left our leopard, so I'm putting the pass on. My lips are getting a bit chapped. I don't know why I did that. So basically, we decided to move out. Our team's getting a little bit chaotic for my liking, but one of the wardens came in and waved his finger at a couple of people, smiling about that. We were behaving very well though, but I just thought it's such a tight spot to try and view. We got a couple of nice shots of him lifting his head up, and then there was just a line of cars wanting to come in, so I thought, oh my goodness, before this turns into serious congestion, let's move away. And it's okay because we can come back this afternoon. That's going to be my plan this afternoon. We're going to come and we're going to extensively search this area. I just hope he doesn't move too far. I did tell one of our friends from and beyond, James, about the leopard, and so hopefully he's got guests, and he's not here now, so if he comes a little bit later, which I'm sure he will, he can let us know where he left him, which would be quite nice. And then I'm sure we'll find him. If we come in this area, people will probably stick with him the entire day as he just sleeps, or if he gets up and moves, they'll follow him, so we should find all the cars. So that'll be nice, and let's hope for a nice cool day. Let's hope it stays overcast throughout the day, so that he maybe is a bit active a bit later. But I'm very excited. We might pass our lion friends if they're still right next to the road, but maybe they've also moved off into the lugger. That could have also happened. But a fairly quiet morning. My highlight so far, of course, is definitely the Narina Trogan. That was so special. Don't you think it's quite funny how I can sit and be super patient waiting for birds to come out, but I can't sit and be patient with flat cats? I don't know. I don't know why that is. But anyways, goodness gracious. Whew, a big yawn from me. I couldn't even hide that one away. Alarm to wake me up this morning. Normally I'm awake half an hour, 45 minutes before my alarms even go off. And I almost slept through the first alarm too, because I heard it and I think it had been playing for a couple of minutes and I hadn't heard it yet. It's almost time to go on a holiday, to go to the beach. So exciting. What have we got running in the grass? I think it was a warthog. I didn't really know what it was. I just saw it very quickly. Now, Cat and Tampa, you're wondering if animals could talk. You're wondering which animal would I talk to? All of them. I don't have one. I think I'd like to have a conversation with an elephant, though. That would be my first choice of animals to talk to. Then a hyena. And then maybe the lions. Or one of the cats. But I think having a conversation with a 50-year-old elephant cow could be... Oh, now I've got hiccups. Goodness gracious, the wheels are falling off the wagon this morning. I think that could be very interesting. I think you could learn a lot. Can you imagine the stories, or even just being able to talk to plants? Imagine putting your hand up on a tree that's 200 years old or whatever, and it telling you all the stories that it could tell, the things that it has seen. Kat, you've said you'd also talk to an elephant. I agree. I think it would be the most interesting. Looks like a massive herd of buffaloes crossed through here. Maybe last night. I mean, or maybe actually yesterday evening, in fact. You can just see, look at all the footprints on the road. There was a bit of dung every now and then. And this is one thing that I missed seeing in the Sabi sand. Remember how excited we would get to see buffalo tracks and buffalo dung on the road? It sounds so silly, but they're an elusive creature in the Sabi sand, especially up in the north. But I don't know where that herd has gone. Their tracks are going that way, so they've probably gone down to the escarpment somewhere that side. Haven't actually seen any big herds of buffalo over the last couple of days. Even they've vacated out of the triangle. Maybe everybody's using this time during the short rains to go on holiday. Perhaps that's the case. I think we're coming up to our lions, though. I think that's what I've seen. Grass, but laying flat, flat, flat. So let's have a look. I think it is. Oh, it's a rock. The lions have turned into rocks. No, those are lions. Oh, I can see movement. Boys, have you woken up yet? I'm going to pull over to the side of the road. Hi, sleeping beauties. Fast asleep still. Barely even moved. Very moody sky as well. Fast asleep. I think they're going to actually just stay here unless the sun manages to break through these clouds, which I don't think it's going to be able to do. If the wind picks up, it might blow them away, but there's a fairly thick cover, which I suppose suits these lions quite well, doesn't it? They don't have to go far. They don't have to go anywhere now. They don't have to look for a shady spot. They can just lay right here. The only thing, though, is they might get annoyed with the constant vehicles moving around them, because it is a fairly main road. So they can have big trucks coming past, tractors. So that type of thing might just encourage them to move off the road just slightly. But they're lucky. The triangle is fairly quiet at the moment. Some of the camps have closed just briefly, just for a little bit. Or a lot of them don't have guests at the moment just because it's not sort of peak season. All the wildebeest are gone. All the wildebeest are in the Serengeti. Now, speaking of talking to animals, I wonder if Scott is into that type of thing. Let's jump aboard his car and find out.
I've often wondered how cool it would be to have a conversation with animals. If I was to have to pick one, it would be the elephants. Reason being, they live for a long time, so they'd have history that they could provide us with, history lessons, and they're also intelligent. They move huge distances, so they'll have stories, depending on the elephant, from different areas, not just one small territory. Yes, elephant is my animal of choice to be able to talk to. I don't know what Taylor's was or what any of the others presenters were, but mine is the elephants. I think I'm not sure who, but somebody else also would speak to elephants. Not sure what the other thing was. Plants? Surely not. It's not an animal. I'm either going deaf or there's something wrong with the radio, or both. Well, I am going deaf, but I think there could be something wrong with the radio. Oh well. Very good. As you can see, we are hastily making our way back towards camp. And hopefully we'll find something before we get there. How much time we got left? Not too much longer. Well, if I don't see you again, goodbye. If I do, that will be great. But for now, you're going to Noel.
Cheeky male leopards. There's nothing more frustrating than knowing that there's a leopard right here and he just doesn't want to be seen. So my thoughts, I've just stopped for a little bit. I'm listening to birds and hearing for alarm calls or anything like that. But my thoughts on this are that he was calling, and then as he got close to the dam, there's quite a few animal species around, and then he's come, from what I can tell, he's coming a little bit farther south from the dam, south and west. But there's a lot of Nyala, a lot of Impala around, so it is still a cool morning. He can still move and scent mark and audio mark as much as he wants or as much as he can. But if he feels like he might be hungry, it would be best for him to just sort of lay low and then wait until a little bit later and hunt, or possibly he's busy in the middle of the block with something that we can't see. It happens, unfortunately. So we're going to finish checking this bit of road. Maybe James gets luckier inside the block. But if not, don't worry. This afternoon, we always have this afternoon. Let's see what happens along the way. Oh, if I could talk to an animal, what animal would I talk to? Would I be talking in people language or that animal's language? So would I be able to know that whole species language, or would I be talking to it in human language? That's my my question back to that. It's up to me. Maybe wild dog? I don't know. Quite like my human language. Yeah, probably wild dog. I'll go with that one. Interesting. I'm still going to ponder that one for a little bit. Sorry, I'm very much in my leopard, I know you're here, come out wherever you are brain. The other option that could have happened as well is, while we're busy looking around, he could have maybe heard another male leopard and then decided to be quiet, or he could have maybe picked up on a trail of a female and started heading towards her. It's interesting. Both male and female leopards, as many of you know, are very, very territorial. So there'll be one male leopard with a territory like this, and sort of on average, sort of 3 to 5 females, 4 to 5 females within that territory. And she usually calls him in when she's ready. But I have seen more than once, in the books, you know, the animals don't read the books. I've seen more than once males searching out females when they're feeling like they're not getting enough lady love. It doesn't usually pan out well for them. Dos Santos, you're wondering what my favorite animal to track is. My favorite animal to track is a lion. I have been working the past few years with a lot of really brilliant Shangaan trackers to up my leopard on foot tracking ability. I mean, look, when there's tracks in the road, there's tracks in the road. But lion tracks, definitely. Lion tracks wherever they're going, and yeah, get me on them and let's go. That is my absolute favorite. My absolute favorite. Good question. Ooh. We have a magpie shrike sent here at our 3 o'clock. So we were chatting with our predator birds earlier, and then of course he flies off. Oh, he's just gone over here. Magpie shrikes are a different type of predatory bird. So they're not a raptor, they're not an eagle, they're not a goshawk, but they like to attack insects in the most vile manner. The shrikes in particular are quite vicious. So they'll find insects and, oh, he's gone down. Maybe we get lucky and we see a kill. Come back up with your prey. He's gone back up just behind the branches. No, and he's not beating anything against. They'll sometimes, especially common fiscal shrikes and these magpies, they'll sometimes impale insects, large insects on a stick, and then wait for other insects to come. But I've seen magpie shrikes really, really get into really large dung beetles. I've also seen them dive bombing leopards as they come through. And that pied crow we saw earlier as well, where I used to work in another part of South Africa where it was a lot more arid. Leopards would be walking through, and there's a huge amount of pied crows there and not as many vultures, and they would just start dive bombing these leopards like this, so you could follow the activities of the crow without having to off-road and follow the leopard. And the leopards there weren't as, in general, weren't as relaxed as here. It was very, very interesting. Sorry, Chris, can you just say the name one more time for me, please? Sorry, Chris. Oh, Hampus. Thanks, Chris. Hampus, what do I personally think is the hardest animal to track? For me, personally, I still have files missing in my leopard tracking off roads, so and off really demarcated pathways. A leopard's a lot lighter, so I have a few pictures that are missing from my portfolio that I need to get in there, which is why I work more and more on that. Not that I can't track a leopard, but I find it more difficult than a lion. But I think for myself and many of my colleagues that I work with tracking, hyenas are very difficult to track. They who knows what a hyena's thinking and what they're doing and where they want to go. And cats in general tend to have a sort of trajectory, a somewhat straight trajectory, and if they go off their trajectory, it's for usually quite apparent reasons. Not always, but it happens. A hyena just does whatever. A hyena, it's a good thing to learn how to track to a hyena, but it's also a frustrating exercise, and you're not necessarily going to be able to come up with your final answer. That being said, if it's a nice large clan of hyena and you can hear whooping or you can hear giggling, you can hear that there's a kill around, those are easier tracks to track. But yeah, I think a hyena for me. Anyway. Perry, you'd like to talk to a hyena if you could talk to any animal? Yeah. I think that's a good one. I definitely think that's a good one. Hyenas would be interesting to chat to. They would probably discuss how much they dislike the Lion King for making them look silly and like villains all the time, when they are in fact such an important part of the ecosystem. All right, my friends. Ooh, lots of people saying they talk to elephants. Yeah, elephants hit a chord with a lot of people. There's something about an elephant. Here we go. Here's who I would talk to. I would talk to a wildebeest. I would talk to a wildebeest because wildebeests are not necessarily the smartest of creatures. They're meant for food. They have an important part of the ecosystem, but I would talk to a wildebeest just to see if they really are like Dory, or we know Dory from Finding Nemo, or if they are more intelligent than we think that they are. Oh my goodness. So this afternoon, out again, hopefully finding leopard. If we don't find leopard, there's always something. The bird life has been good. It should get a little bit warmer. We might get a bit more of the cuckoos that we've been hearing, and I keep trying to find a cuckoo to put on camera for you, so we'll work on that. I'm super excited about the Narina trogon and the tambourine doves that Taylor and Scott found. So thank you so much from myself, James, Taylor, Scott, FC, all the cameramen. You must have a wonderful day.